Welcome everyone to A Plusify's webinar on Salesforce releases and updates. I'm Vinu Deschetti, Director of Marketing and Sales for A Plusify. I'm going to be joined by Neeraj Garg, our COO of A Plusify, who heads up our operations division, making sure that not only our developers, but our clients are also well aware of updates and best practices to deal with Salesforce. At today's webinar, we actually started the webinar before we started recording it, but you didn't miss much. Definitely, let's join in on that conversation now.
So the major data threats that come your way are you get an email from someone saying that you have won this amount in the lottery. Please click on this username on this link to claim your prize, right? So it's actually a phishing email. What it does is uh, as soon as you click that link, it takes you to the phishing website. That is what we call it, because and then it gets your credentials, the username, password, and then they can do a number of things with it. So to avoid all this, Salesforce is actually promoting multi-factor authentication for all its organizations. Maybe if you are using Salesforce or any association management system, you may be getting a lot of calls from Salesforce to implement MFA. MFA is multi-factor authentication. And Salesforce has its own ways to take care of that. So I would highly recommend that if you are a Salesforce user or you're using Salesforce in your organization, it's always better to have a multi-factor authentication, which is actually very easy to use and very easy to install. You just have to follow some steps. And if you're facing problem with it, you can either call Salesforce or a technical team that is working with you, or maybe some external consultant to take help. But I would highly recommend to use the multi-factor authentication feature that Salesforce is providing to save your data, to save yourselves, to save your customers from these data phishing or credential stuffing attack. And maybe in the future slide, maybe I can tell you on what are the ways that Salesforce actually provides to do a multi-factor authentication. Now, generally, when I was talking about the first slide, I was talking about the one-time password, which actually comes through a text message or through an email to a user when he tries to log in into a secured system. Now, Salesforce believes that any email message can be compromised. Your phone calls, your text messages can be intercepted. So they have come up with a better solution than that, which does not involve any email or text messages or email. They say that we have developed an authenticator mobile app. So what is a Salesforce authenticator mobile app? It's actually a mobile app which you can install on your mobile device. And what it does is it actually integrates with your login process. Since it's a Salesforce Authenticator mobile app, it is free and it's easy to use because it logs in with the your login process seamlessly. So what you need to do is just integrate that app with your Salesforce login, and as soon as someone tries to log in, uh, it actually sends a notification to the user's mobile device. So you are registered with that mobile device, you get a notification. You tap on that, the Salesforce Authenticator mobile app opens, and it actually verifies, and you have to verify that you are the person who are actually logging in into that site. So what it is doing is providing a extra authentication layer on the top of the username and password that you have provided. So it's easy to use. So you just have to download the app. You just have to, it automatically integrates with the Salesforce, and it's quite easy to use. You don't have to worry about any text message or anything like that. You should have a mobile app on your phone, and then you are actually, your members, your users are actually quite safe and quite secure. We have done that integration for a lot of our customers, and they are quite happy. But I think one thing that you have to keep in mind is that you have to educate your users in saying that you have to get this app installed, and this is an extra step that you have put in for security reasons.
We actually have, Neeraj, a really good question, and this is from our resident association specialist, Barbara Armentrout. She's asking, many associations are reporting that users who are not in the IT department are resisting MFA. What tips can you offer to help us enforce MFA? I know you just mentioned to communicate that security is very important, but what are some other things, or what are some key message points that that people can the IT departments can share out to their staff and other people, other users?
I think, in a very simple language, for non-technical people, I think we can share them live examples. So if you are going out of your house, right, and you are going out of your house for maybe a couple of months or maybe a month, what you try to do is put as many kind of locks in your house. So it can be your locker. You will have a special digital lock in your house. Maybe your main door will have a couple of locks. So what you're trying to do is you can just have one lock in your house and then you move away, right? But what you try to do is put in some extra checks into it so that even if there is someone who has wrong intentions and comes for a theft, he has to think twice or thrice before entering your house, right? And you are safe. So what we should, so your system, your members, your personal data, I think that is something which is very precious to you, right? Like your precious jewelry stuff or anything like that. So, and you want to keep it secure. And what is the best way to keep it secure? So, and obviously there is no investment around it because Salesforce is providing this app to you for free. What you just have to do is be educated, be more vigilant, and try to communicate with them, or try to communicate with your IT department, or your IT department communicates with people who can actually help you out with that. And you put that extra layer so that you can protect your precious jewels, which is your precious customers' data, into your system, and no one can actually take it away from you.
And I think maybe a couple of examples to go into more, take it into more of a retail environment. I know Amazon has a very similar application. If I need to reset my password, it texts me a one-time use password to be able to reset that. I think Google is another example of that. I've been recently having forgot my passwords and having to reset that, and
Yeah.
having those security. So it's, for me, it's nice to know that those security enhancements are there. And it's a good reminder, as nonprofits and associations, we are the holders of really precious information. It goes beyond credit card information, and this is people's personal information, and they're trusting us to keep it safe, and we need to do whatever it takes to do that. I know recently there's been some articles about data phishing and how much it's really hitting the nonprofit and association market, because it's a very easy target. I know recently I received an email from someone that said, hey, here's an RFP you should consider. And it looked fishy, hence the word phishing, I guess. And,
Yeah.
I didn't open it, but I could tell other people did open it because it almost seemed legitimate. And then it kind of spiraled into this almost like a pyramid scheme of emails of getting that. And I'm sure that's probably an example of data phishing and how it can easily land in someone's mailbox and put your data at risk, right?
Sure. I think, yeah, obviously apps are one of the ways to do that. And the other way I would suggest is that create an environment of security within your team as well, so that they give ultimate importance to security. So maybe you can have a security certificate installed on your website, and maybe start using these kind of apps, because if you care for your system, I think you should care for the data that is stored in the system as well. And if that kind of culture comes within the team itself, I think then everyone caters to that point. And it's more of a cultural shift in your team that you have to do by having maybe sessions with them, giving them some examples on why they should do it, because people don't understand the importance of data that is there in the system. If we can maybe tell them what consequences an organization can face for all these kind of data phishing attacks that happens on the system, I think that can bring that culture around.
Yeah. And to our attendees today, we've actually have some statistics on data phishing and in the nonprofit that affect nonprofits and associations specifically. So we'll make sure you get that information out in the email that follows up this session. But it's pretty astonishing to see how many organizations aren't prepared for data phishing or any kind of cybersecurity threats, and then also to see how many actually have attacks on their systems and the things they need to do to protect themselves. So thanks, Neeraj. That is definitely one to put on the checklist to do. Talk to us a little bit about these dynamic forms, a little bit more on the happier side of things.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So even security is on the happier side of things. It's not scary if you have got the proper locks in place. But going to dynamic forms, this is actually a feature which has been released in the current latest Salesforce Winter 21 release. It's a part of Winter 21 release, this dynamic forms, and this is something that eases your life. Now, what happens is you build up a form or a page in Salesforce with some information into it. Then with the passage of time, that information on that page keeps on increasing because you want to enter more information about the user, maybe add more fields to it. Now, what happens is if you're entering more information on the same page, either that page gets cluttered because it's like you can't find, there are like loads of fields in that page, and nobody likes to have a lot of fields in the page, so that because it looks all cluttered. So it's all, so the before this dynamic forms, what people used to do or the developers used to do was create new pages if there was extra information into it. So you had a single page of information with multiple page layouts. Now with this coming of dynamic forms, what has happened is you can have all the information in the page that you need, but you can actually hide or display that information depending on whether a user wants to see that information or he does not want to see that information. So I will give you an example. Suppose you are an association who are actually planning to organize a marathon event. Okay. Now you float that message to all your members. Now you will have some members who will actually opt for that marathon event, and there would be some members who would not opt for that marathon event. Now the marathon, when you log in, right, you want to have that marathon details page so that you can see like what all information you have captured for that event for particular users. But for the users who have not opted for that marathon event, you don't want to see that information because that is irrelevant. Those will be like blank information or a blank page that is just lying in that screen. So maybe you can have a checkbox out there which says that only see that information if a member has opted for that marathon event. Now, the kind of details you might be capturing in that small section or form would be maybe if you are giving them marathon t-shirts, you want to get the information about their t-shirt size, or maybe if you are providing snacks, whether he's a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian. So things like that, which you only want to see for the users who have actually opted for the event. If they have not, you just don't want to see that information. So that is something that comes with dynamic forms, where you can actually see the information for different users, which is actually relevant. And if it is not relevant, it would not be shown on your page. Within the same page layout, you can have multiple forms designed into it, which can be visible or hidden depending on the criteria. I think we can explain that with one more example in the next slide. Yeah, so here we have got this screen. Now, this is, so you have a HR department, and HR department has designed its own form. So you can see in the screen, you have got candidate ID, his contact number, then there would be other details about that candidate. Then there will be some confidential information about that candidate, which is personal to him, like the salary, his gender, whether he has some disability or not. Now, this confidential information, you just want very specific people to see. You don't want your whole organization to log in and see the details of a candidate, his salary, his gender, or any other personal information that he may have. So what you can do is you can have this form designed. The general fields that are visible, you can have that in one section, as you can see. And then there is you have designed a confidential information section. And what you have done is you have set its visibility, or you want to just display it to anyone who has a profile of HR. Maybe you can have one more filter in it, in which says that someone in HR and is an HR manager or an HR VP in that organization who can actually go and see that confidential information. So that is the kind of stuff you can do with dynamic forms. So that is why it is called dynamic. Dynamic means on the fly, where you can have dynamic information displayed on the same page layout. So what we're trying to do here is there is just one page and you have multiple information into it. But when a user logs in, he will just see the information that is relevant to him. So general user will just see the candidate details. When HR logs in, he will see the candidate details plus the confidential information. So this actually saves you a lot of time in designing this form. Plus, you are not getting unnecessary information to see on your page, which actually helps you to improve the performance of your page, because you are not loading all the information that is not required. So I think this is a very exciting feature that people are excited about. And if you are someone who is struggling with that, I think this is, and this has like, this can be done for various departments. You can have n number of scenarios to use this feature. So maybe I told you about an event that you want to show. This is about an HR. You may have it for the sales team. You want to display certain information which is just relevant for a VP of the sales. He wants to see the details of all the employees listed, and that could be confidential just to him. While if a manager is logging in, he is able to see the information of his. So it's like you can use this for n number of scenarios you are working with.
So Neeraj, this seems like it serves two purposes. One, there's research out there that shows that there's a direct correlation of making sure that these forms only ask the questions that you really need answers to the completion of the form. So if someone doesn't complete it, it's considered an abandoned form, which none of us want. We want them to finish their membership. We want them to finish their donation and supply the information that we need. So that seems like that's one thing. And then the second thing, it seems like it also allows us as the organization to be able to capture the information we truly need by making sure that it's relevant information, it's good information, and it's just good. It's just good data hygiene, good data practices in order to have that more holistic view of your members, donors, or supporters in Salesforce.
Sure, I think yes, that is absolutely correct, Meena.
Great. Well, let's move on to the reporting subscription. I love reports, so I am very excited about this piece. Can you tell us a little bit about how this is going to change things for those that love data?
Yeah, so everyone loves data and everyone wants to pull in reports that they need, monthly reports, weekly reports, yearly reports, and everyone likes to have a data in a spreadsheet which they can play with, right? So they can alter the columns, they can copy the data, do some calculations. So it is a boon for people who are actually into all these activities and you want to play with the data, report data that they want to. What used to happen before this report subscription attachment feature was if you have subscribed for a report in Salesforce, you used to get your monthly, weekly, or whatever scheduled your reports were in an email, right? So there was no attachment that used to come as a separate attachment for reports. So you cannot play with those reports. It was neither a CSV file or a PDF file that you can play with. What they have done in this release is if you subscribe for a report, you can choose the format, whether it has to be a comma separated value or an Excel file, and that comes as a separate attachment in the report. So you can download that report, do whatever you want to do with that report, however you want to change it and send it to the upper management or to anyone whom you want to, which was not possible before. So I think this is very exciting for all the business users who are into all these kind of pulling in reports or playing with reports. This is a boon for them. And what it has also done, what Salesforce has also done at the back end is, if you're pulling in reports with a lot of data, they have improved the performance of the reports by increasing the rows and columns in the reports. So so your reports will get pulled faster in a much faster pace. So that is something that they have also done. So I think this is something which is very exciting, and some of our clients are just loving it, right? There was one client I remember, right? He didn't knew about this feature, and then we were on this call with him, and then he got that report in an email format, and then told him, like, why don't you opt for this feature, because it actually helps you in getting a CSV or an XLS format. And he was like, wow, can I get it? Yeah, obviously. And it was some settings that we had to do, and he was like, he almost jumped off his chair, right? That I've got this report now, I can actually do anything with it. So I think this is a feature that you should use if you are not aware of it. And if you need any help, you can always reach to us, and we can help you in getting a quick solution for it.
Yeah. I think for this feature, just the fact that I can do whatever I want with those reports once I get in an email without having to log into Salesforce is a huge win. And it also triggers me to do, if I get a report in my inbox, I know, that reminds me I need to do whatever action with that report. So definitely for data geeks like me, love it.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
move on to custom fields. I think one of the biggest things that we do for clients is always customizing Salesforce to work for their unique business situation.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about this.
So this is one of the good feature that we recommend is a very good feature for our clients. So, and we have faced these practical problems by not being able to add custom fields in the custom reports. So imagine a organization where you are an administrator, and that organization has 50 custom report types that they are using. So you take opportunities, they are pulling in opportunity type reports with a mix of product. So they have customized those opportunity type objects, and there are like 50 custom report types that you are using in your system. Now, before this feature, if, for example, your business process decides that we need to add a discount field as a custom field in the opportunity table, right? So what you had to do was manually add that discount field in all the 50 custom report types that you have available, right? There was no option that it gets added automatically into your report types. And that was an absolute pain. We have faced that pain with a lot of our clients, and it has taken us hours and hours to just do this stupid activity where anything that got changed due to a business process, we had to actually manually go to all the report types and add that particular field in those custom report types so that that field can be displayed in the report. Now, with this exciting change that Salesforce has given, whenever you add a field like discount field in the opportunity object, if you can see in the screen, you can see that there is a checkbox that says add this field to existing custom report types, right? So as soon as you click on this field, that custom field automatically gets added to all the custom report types that you are pulling in. So you save that hassle of actually going into every report and adding that feed manually. It is available to you on all the report types, and you just have to drag and drop that field into your report as and when you require. So this has actually saved us a lot of time, and I'm thankful to Salesforce that they have added this feature into it, because it was an ultimate pain. And all the people who are in this call and who might have encountered this issue, if you are still encountering this issue, I am glad to tell you that we have got this feature, and it's just that you just have to click this box when you add a custom report type. And if your technical team is out there, maybe you can guide them as well on that this feature is now available and they can start using it.
It seems like a feature that's very helpful to more of an administrator, and the rest of us
Yes.
that are just always asking for updated reports and dashboards don't really realize all that it takes sometimes to create those reports.
Yeah. And as a customer, I think it saves you time as well, because your developer will just come or administrator will just come and, oh, this is the report you asked for. Come on, I don't need those many hours now. So yeah, this is what I was talking about. It automatically gets added into your report layouts, and you get them and you can just add them.
Great. Let's talk about split views. This is very different than my having two monitors on my desk and splitting views. So I usually have to open up like, a few windows to see everything I want to in Salesforce. So this seems like it's going to be a nice feature. Tell us a little bit more about the split views.
Oh yes, so I think this feature was something which everyone was waiting for, and if you are a member or a user who are actually using the system, you are aware of that once you have opened that record or an opportunity, to get into that detail of that opportunity, you have to click it and then used to open in a new window. And like you were talking about, having those screens in two windows and then toggling back and forth. So this saves you all that hassle. As soon as you can see in the screen, there is a detailed record on the left hand side. As soon as you click this, you have that view of that lead on the right screen of your. So how convenient it is to just have one view in one screen. It's like music to your ears, right? So it's like dream come true when you see this kind of screen after you have toggled back and forth so many times to see all these records. And this is actually a part of Summer 20 release. Very exciting feature, very relevant to everyone who is there in the call. If you are still facing this problem and you have not implemented it, it's just a very simple option that you have to do in your settings, and it gives you a split view.
So if you're not an administrator and you would love to see this, definitely go to your IT team and ask them to turn the feature on. And administrators, don't hide this from us. We love this feature. So let's move on to our last feature that you wanted to talk to us about, Neeraj, about the big deal alerts. What is it and what has been improved?
So big deal alerts is something that is not new to Salesforce. This is a feature which has been there before this release as well. So big deal, as you already know, you can get email notifications from Salesforce for any opportunity or any filter that you have set. So suppose in this case, we have said that if an opportunity value reaches a value of $500K and it reaches the probability of 90%, I should get a notification that this has reached a probability of 90% and has a value this. So this is very relevant to all these sales managers and hire people who want to get these kind of alerts very regularly. So this was already a feature, but the only problem was that it was available in the classic view. It was not available in the lightning view. So if you had to get this notification alert, you always had to switch back from the lightning view to the classic view and then get this notification. So what they have done now is implemented that into the lightning view. So you don't have to switch views now from lightning to classic. and then back from Classic to Lightning. If you are on Lightning, you are good, and you get this big deal notification alert as well. You just have to check a box to enable that, and that's it. So this is something that if you have been using, you can use it in Lightning as well. You don't need to switch back. If you're switching back still to Classic, you don't need to right now. You can ask your team or any help you require from Salesforce, or maybe approach us to let us know how this has to be enabled.
Right. Well, Neeraj, thank you very much for sharing your top 5 features that you recommend for the Salesforce updates. Anyone, if you have any questions, anyone that's joined us, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to put that in the chat box. In the meantime, Neeraj, I do want to ask you, what is the best way? You know, Salesforce is really good about putting out these releases, but they're really big documents. You know, do you have any tips about how to stay up to date with when these releases are coming out, and how to figure out what an organization needs to do with that information, with the releases?
Yeah, so generally Salesforce generally has around 4 releases every year that it publishes, and you start receiving emails. Your admins might be started receiving emails 3 or 4 months back, prior to a release, and they give you an entire release guide on what all features they are actually including in either the spring release or the summer release or the winter release, whatever it is. They give you a list of the features, and it's always good to keep yourself updated. And if you're not the right person to keep yourself updated, maybe if you have a partner or a consulting partner who is working with you, you can just pass on that information to him, and he may actually, because he's the person who may really be knowing all these technical stuff, so he may actually uh, gather that information and give you relevant things that you require in your org to be implemented. It's not always good to update everything in your org at one go, because there are certain limitations to it. Because you are running a live system, you don't want your live system to get messed up. So there is no point in doing that update as quickly as you get. It's always good that someone guides you and analyzes all these issues, and maybe come up with, like we have come up with 5 features that we want to implement for our clients. You may just have a couple of features. So you should have an expert who can actually guide you on how to do it, and what all features are actually helpful for your org. There might be n number of features which you don't require, and there is no point in updating them. So it's more of keeping yourself vigilant and getting those emails and reading those emails, and then asking for help wherever required. And especially if there are security updates, I think you should keep a check on that, because that is very important, especially in these COVID days. You should exactly know what all security updates you can get from Salesforce or from any other association management release. Fontiva, there are so many releases. So you should exactly know what they're doing and how it's going to impact your org.
I was just going to ask you that. Is it, what's the potential for when a release comes out that there's something in your own system, or even in the entire ecosystem, even with app integrations, that something might be affected by a release that came out?
There is more than 50% of chance that your system might get messed up if you just do the updates without prior thinking about it. And we have faced that. So there are like a lot of Fontiva releases that happen for and other association management systems. They all do so many releases. Sometimes they introduce some objects which you might not require, or they depreciate some objects, they get rid of some objects which were not helpful. But you might be using that object, or you might be you might have customized information in your system. So it's always good that you talk to your expert team and let them analyze the system. There is no hurry to update the system as soon as it comes. Take your own sweet time, get things analyzed, and then do each update that you think in your testing environment first, and let the users test it before rolling it to live. So that are the steps we should follow whenever there are any updates that happen.
Oh, great. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us today. If you have any other questions, definitely you can contact us. I've put up our contact us slide here. You can email, call, or even go to our website to ask any questions that you might need help with. We've got developers on standby ready to help you out. I do want to invite you to our next webinar. Which is about data migration the smart way. It's not as easy as you always think, you may think. It's not about just pressing a button and voila, the data is in. It takes a little bit more work, and Neeraj is going to walk us through that. Again, Neeraj, thank you very much today for walking us through your 5 release updates that we all should be paying attention to. Definitely some that I will be pinging our team on if we haven't already done it. And
Sure, my
again,
pleasure.
thank you, everyone. Be safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you for joining us.